for those who are attending in the ECES for the first time, just a little introduction. We are a research center and a non-profit, and there is on our part a strategic direction that, of course, just adds up the sum of social equity and economic strength. There is, of course, an access to, as you can see, there are four squares. We never wanted a strong economy where just a little few makes use, and we don't want something like a weak economy and only few are receiving. Our objective definitely is a very strong economy where everyone makes use and benefit. Anything that would take us in this direction, it will be on our agenda automatically. And today, spec- today specifically, we are highlighting the knowledge economy and where does Egypt stand. Of course, I'm very pleased to have three of our great experts in this respect. First of all, of course, Dr. Ahmed Fikri Abdel Wahab. He's a very dear friend of me, and he is the member of the directors of ECS, and he is also the executive chairman of AGA, the German company for vehicles. And he's got a lot of titles actually, and he's the deputy general for the Egyptian Kuwaiti company, and he's also um, um, the executive, and she's saying he's a lot of things actually, a lot of things. Dr. Khaled Derbela is consultant, and in his pragmatic work in the IT, he's been having a very great experience. Government sent him a lot of projects, out of which is the geotechnical encyclopedia map and also database of the real estate information and the statistics of these lot locations, Sheikh Nasser, and a lot of places with database. And we have engineer Iman Raslan for the first time with us in the ECES. She's the expert of building capacities, and she's got a lot of position in the field of reinforcing institution and the development of human resources in cooperation with the grantors and organizational governmental organization. She was also a deputy chairman of the IIT, and she's been the one responsible for launching vocational training for postgraduates. She has masters in business administration in University of Maastricht in Holland. The question that would really cross our minds: why, especially knowledge economy? We've been a lot talking about industries and so on. So why knowledge economy? Well, there are a lot of reasons actually. First, why are we concerned about knowledge economy? Paul Romer, specifically, is a great economist. He achieved the Nobel Prize in Economy 2018 because of his contribution, which is the knowledge economy. And then we'll see where does Egypt stand concerning the knowledge economy. And of course, that would be so quick as we can, so that our great speakers would be no, to give all their information and experience and expertise in this. Why are we so much concerned to the economy or the knowledge economy? I know that all countries are racing to belong. They're very keen to belong to the knowledge economy, because through this they can really achieve all their objectives and their economy development. And there are four pillars for knowledge economy, four of them. One of them is concerning the economic and institutional regime, and that is the first pillar. It is supposed that this economic and institutional regime would encourage innovation and would give incentives and triggers to use our knowledge. Currently, the second pillar pillar is the education and skills, because also definitely the country's people need education and skills that would enable them for innovation. And pillar three is information and communication infrastructure. Without communication, we are next to zero. And pillar four is the innovation system. There should be an innovation system in the country. The firms, the research centers, the universities, think tanks, and consultants should be able to make use and assimilate and adopt the knowledge to customized in the local environment. These are the four pillars that are measuring the knowledge economy. Now, who is Paul Romer? Paul Romer, he's born in United States, 1955, and he's working also, most important works in the field of economic growth. He's named of one of America's 25 most influential people by Time magazine in 1997. He also was a chief economist and vice president of the World Bank until January 24, then finally received the Nobel Prize in 2018. He was a Nobel laureate. The question, why did he was awarded this Nobel? One of the beautiful quotes that he's been thinking about, or he's been quoting. He said that the more we know, the easier it gets to discover. People think that the protection of environment would be so costly, so that hard, that they want to ignore the problem. I want to say we are very good at that and pretend it just doesn't exist. But once we start to try to reduce carbon emissions, we will be surprised, or we are surprised, that it's not that hard. As we anticipated, then why did he take the Nobel? Because he's been able to, in the long run, merge the knowledge of economy with the analysis of economy. I know that we all know that all the growth model and the economic modules, they always look into the technological innovation is something exogenous which comes from outside and affects us. What he really did, he transferred this to endogenous, meaning that the technological change itself is being affected by the policies of the state. So it's not endogenous. It is really from inside, which is endogenous, meaning that the state is number one responsible for success or failure. The best thing that would move the economic development are the people, the human resources. That's what he said. He also said that this entrepreneurship and all this technology, this snowball, makes a snowball effect to make a domino effect for a bigger effect that finally makes an excellent effect to the country. And also, knowledge is a trigger for economic development, which is long term. He modeled how economic decision and market conditions determine the creation of new technology. Again and again, what the state does, what we do, is something that triggers the technology and not vice versa. But what are his main conclusion? Well, his main conclusion is that policies in the country influence the rate of technological change, which means it is indigenous and not exogenous. The importance of R&D, research and development for countries' development. He said that, for example, if subsidy or a subsidy to physical capital accumulation may be very poor substitute, maybe for direct subsidies that increase the incentive to undertake research, this would be a bad alternative for the direct subsidy. And therefore, it's better for the state, too much way better, that their incentive and their subsidies should be directed to R&D in the first place, better than just directing it to the equipment or the machines. That means that we are really changing the mindset of the state itself. The human resources is one of the very important propellers for development that should be enhanced in an integrated way. He said that human capital is actually the proxy that represent all that. So the technological transformation and the R&D are represented in my trying to affect human. So if I can make good investment in youth and in people, definitely the result will be a big development. But what sort of development? The main conclusion from his with the are very, of course, economy with larger total stock of human capital will experience faster growth, goes without saying. And number two, development or developed economies in the 20th century permitted rates of growth of income per capita that are really unprecedented in human history. And they are all related to a very mega investment of the human resources, something which is good. And of course low levels of human capital may help explain why growth is not observed in undeveloped countries. A less developed economy with a very large population can still benefit from economic integration with the rest of the world. The point is that the increase in population rate, we are speaking about youth. The youth could be developed, could be enhanced capabilities wise, and therefore you can achieve a lot. So the approach is very smart. He was awarded a Nobel laureate, of course, based on his ideas. But where do we stand? Let's just take, a deep breath and see where are we? Where does Egypt stand in this respect? Our indicator for economy, knowledge of economy, we don't have it for states. The last indicator was done conducted by the World Bank, and the last version was in 2012. And of course, our rank was, thank God, 97 out of 147 countries, which is a late ranking. It's not a good ranking at all, actually. The proxy that makes us a bit closer, again and again, there is no indicator for knowledge economy, and there are PhDs to start with. For the one in 2018, we ranked the 95 out of 126 countries. Now the question, why do we have problems as such? The report, the World the Economic Forum report, was touching upon these four components. So the most updated information of 2017, we are going to find out that as to the institutional, our rank is 120 over 140. And concentrating in the items itself, you'll find that the most important things are taking the lowest rates. So, the highest rate was security and crime, all these things is very frightening. But in red, what you can see on the screen in red and yellow and green means that our score is reasonable, above 70%. The red means that we are not good at all, that we are down the list. Orange is 50-50. If you look to the red, you'll find all the things that are very important, and these are in the red zone, and we are vulnerable here, we are weak here, and that's concerning the institutions. If we look into education, for example, and skills, we'll find that the highest thing, that the durability or the years that is expected for children in school. If you look into the red, we are going to find training, quality of vocational training, the skills of postgraduates, critical thinking in teaching, all these things. We are very, very far, and we rank 99 over 140, which is very far, way far. And also the pillar of communication and infrastructure, the best thing or the highest rank is the membership of the mobile system. But what are we gonna, what are we doing with the mobile? That is the important question. And by the way, this should be a strength point, because through mobile we can make the e-systems and applications and the platforms. But what actually is going on, that people use it, otherwise we all know that. We also rank very weak in the internet membership, broadband. All these are very weak, and we rank 100 over 140. The part which has to do with innovation, which is pillar 4, we are on 146 out of 160, and then the requisition, the demands for patents, innovations, institutional research, who are completely down the list there, and the complete complications or the complexity. As you can see again in red, we are very bad, and you will find again same point is that our problems come in the most important things that should not be there. We rank around 64 in this list. Maybe we are developing from one year to the other. Yes, definitely we are moving, but slowly. Our position of the Middle East societies where we are comparing ourselves is very fixed, like the pyramids. We are in the same rough patch or the same spot, and we don't move. We have the in the Egyptian constitution, scientific research is indicating that this state gives the institution and encourage them for building the economy of knowledge of economy and nurturing the researchers, and of course part of not less than 1% of the governmental expenditure is moving up and up to just come in line with the international rates. All these are requirements of the Egyptian constitution. The state also takes whatever it can to help the both the direct, or sorry, the private and public sector. So the constitution is very clear in the future vision. But where are we? Where do we stand? As you can see on the screen, can Egypt benefit from other countries' experiences? These are questions for all of us. What are the latest trends in innovation? And what are the latest trends in increasing the human capital stock? The human resources, of course, and we are going to stand here, just stop here because this is the part where there will be the questions.